This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. First Nations leaders are working to stop the flow of drugs and alcohol from entering their communities. Today, new rules were put in place at Perimeter Aviation. They aim to tackle the issue at its source, cargo planes. CBC's Mike Arsenault has the story.
A new sign is up on the wall at Perimeter Aviation, letting travelers know about a new policy in Manitoba Cree Nation. Now, people flying into the community will have their bags and cargo searched when they land.
Enough's enough. We don't want to lose any more lives. We have to prevent alcohol and drugs from coming into our community.
Chief Michael Yellowback says Manitoba Cree Nation has a bylaw that prohibits the sale and use of alcohol and drugs. The only way it can be brought into the community is by people who fly in and hide it in their luggage. Now Yellowback says all passengers will have their bags and cargo checked by First Nation safety officers when they get off the plane.
We have, 8 FNSOs, and 6 of them are already certified. And 1 and 2 more are going to be taking training.
Manitoba's Deputy Minister of Justice, Jeremy Akerstream, says this new policy will make First Nation communities safer.
There are many other communities that are looking to implement similar projects and bylaw projects, and we look forward to working closely with our First Nations partners to make that a reality.
Back in July, Manitoba Justice and the Manitoba Cree Nation made an agreement, giving First Nation security officers the authority to do searches at the airport and surrounding areas, including the God's River Winter Road and the registered trapline section. Grand Chief Garrison Sept says this new policy empowers First Nation leadership to deal with addiction issues.
This is a very important milestone for all of us, and Mantu CP is leading the way, and we expect all of our First Nations to be able to do so.
Yellowback says any drugs or alcohol found during the searches will be locked up until it can be collected by RCMP officers. The people smuggling it in will be charged.
Anybody who's caught can participate in the restorative justice programs that we will have in place.
This sign at the airport has a QR code that links to the bylaw and lets passengers know once they land, they're getting searched. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A 6-year-old boy who'd been missing in a northeastern Manitoba First Nation since Wednesday has been found dead. Searchers in Shamattawa First Nation found Johnson Redhead dead around 7:45 last night. His body was found in a marshy area about 3.5 kilometers from the school where he was last seen. According to RCMP, he'd attended a breakfast program at the school Wednesday morning, but didn't show up in class after that. His disappearance sparked a large-scale search of the area by community members, volunteers, and police, including Canadian Rangers.
Our crisis team is always ready to respond to tragedies such as this, and then we are preparing to send a team in there to work with the community, to work with the family, and also to anyone that has been affected by this crisis. So we're ready to mobilize and we're ready to go and support the family.
Redhead was nonverbal. Mounties say they continue to investigate his death and an autopsy is pending. School fundraisers can be a parent's nightmare, and the head of Manitoba's largest school division says they can also be a barrier for families. So instead, he wants schools to take recess on fundraisers. CBC's Zubina Ahmed brings you more.
The head of Winnipeg School Division is asking schools to think twice about fundraising. Matt Henderson says fundraising can be a barrier for families and show disparities between schools.
One of the examples that I often give is around play structures. There'll be some schools that can fundraise quite easily for a play structure and others that simply can't. And then that's a disparity, that's inequitable.
Henderson says he's asking schools to exhaust their budgets and that the division has put money aside to top up budgets if necessary. Samantha Nyquist is a parent of 2 girls who go to school under the Winnipeg School Division. She's against this new move.
A lot of schools, especially the Winnipeg School Division, is struggling. There's not enough funds to have, certain things that kids need for school, to keep them up with like the computer systems and stuff like that. They're lacking in funding. And their only way to get funding is by fundraising, by running events.
Henderson says the division will start paying for more extracurricular things.
We've asked schools to stop charging for field trips. Many of our schools are doing no-fee lunch supervision. We're asking schools to use our tender to reduce the cost of school supplies.
Henderson says certain things fall under the purview of public education, and they should remain so.
It's really about, we need to take a critical look at when we begin to fund public education through outside means, that can become a slippery slope.
Nyquist says the idea of fundraisers is to improve learning supports in school. And if the division takes it away, then nothing would be left.
We have the support we need. Don't take away something that's working.
Henderson says at this point none of the changes are mandated, but he's asking schools to think about it. Nyquist says the division needs to rethink before implementing this. Zubina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Patients and doctors want it, the money might be there, so why isn't the government on board with giving Portage La Prairie an MRI? As the CBC's Ian Fraze explains, the answer to that question is leaving Portage residents frustrated.
It's just, I know it's bumpy there, so take it slow.
The Jeffreys are used to working hard and looking after themselves, but now their health is threatening their independence. They both need MRI scans, but neither of them has a date scheduled.
They don't care about me. They don't care about him. They don't care about the other 24,000 people.
That's how many Manitobans need an MRI. Judith and Dave Jeffreys are on the waiting list. She needs a scan to assess what's causing her seizures. He needs one to determine if his kidney cancer has returned.
It drains something out of you.
The Jeffreys say the timing to install an MRI in Portage La Prairie couldn't be better. This new hospital is being built. It'll be ready by late 2025 or early 2026. The local hospital foundation has already pledged to donate $5 million to the MRI. This should cover much of the costs, maybe all of it.
We wanted to have a meeting here in Portage with the government, with Shared Health. And they didn't even give us the decency of getting back to us with a date.
Governments, first the PCs, now the NDP, offered the same rationale for why there's no MRI in the plan. Area residents only book 3,000 MRI scans a year, so the scanner would only be used half the time. But local doctors disagree. In a letter to the Premier this year, they called no MRI a glaring omission.
Our doctor said to us, he said, I would love to requisition more MRIs. He says, but what's the point? He goes, they're not going to happen.
Portage MLA Jeff Bariza has organized a petition signed by thousands of people. He says his city could be a hub for MRIs.
People shouldn't have to travel to Grafton, North Dakota or Pembina, North Dakota in order to get an MRI done.
The Jeffreys are now planning to get their MRIs at a private clinic in Quebec. Given her husband's cancer scare, Judith says they cannot wait.
And when it comes to life and death, I think anyone would pay for it.
The couple wants to share many more rides in their future. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Manitoba woman has been left wondering when she'll be able to move back into her home after a major rainstorm last week. Christy Butler lives in Kleefeld in the rural municipality of Hanover. She says 6 feet of water flooded her basement last Tuesday. It damaged her electrical panel, furnace, hot water tank, as well as her washer and dryer. She says family and community volunteers have been helping with the cleanup, but there's still more to do.
Everything has risen to the top floor, so my top floor is a complete mess with, tracking through and drywall caked on the floors everywhere, and it's a complete disaster. I can't even explain what I feel. I'm kind of numb to it already.
Butler estimates there's about $100,000 in damage, but her insurance only covers $10,000. She says she's applied for disaster financial assistance from the province. The province says they've received 23 requests for assistance from the public and 1 from a community. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be warming up in orange again this year, ahead of Monday's National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. It's the fourth year players are marking Orange Shirt Day in this way. The Exchange Income Corporation joined the Bombers today in unveiling their new orange jersey. They'll be worn ahead of Friday's home game against the Edmonton Elks. An online auction for the orange jerseys is now live, with proceeds going to the Winnipeg Aboriginal Sport Achievement Centre. MKO Grand Chief Garrison Sept says the initiative means a lot to Indigenous people.
I cannot put into words how much it means to our people to recognize and remember the missing children and the residential school survivors. It brings healing to us when people support us, and as we move on in our healing journey, this is a very significant part of that. Reconciliation is not just a word, it is action.
This year, all 9 CFL teams are participating in the initiative. We'll bring in weather specialist Riley Laychuk. And Riley, Christie's photos of that flooding in her home in Kleefeld. My goodness, we had a lot of rain that day.
We had a lot of rain over the past week across southern Manitoba, which we'll get into. A little bit more rain falling as we get through the evening hours. Pretty sporadic in nature for the most part. However, we have seen a few pockets of some heavier rain through that southeastern part of Manitoba once again, but we will start to see this lightening up as we get through the evening hours. In particular, by morning, we should be back to a mainly sunny sky across much of the province. Temperatures right now look like this. Actually, fairly seasonal for this time of the year. I feel like it's been a while since I said that. 16 degrees in Winnipeg. That's our normal daytime high for this time of the year. We got to 18 today, 19 in Melita, 19s and 20s up the western side of the province. Temperatures only go up from here in the coming days. So we're looking at a low of 10 overnight tonight in Winnipeg. West winds only at 10 kilometers an hour. So winds lighten up as we get through the evening tonight. Waking up to a mix of sun and clouds, 11 tomorrow and a 21 degree high tomorrow, Brittany. Much warmer temperatures than this in your long-range forecast, which I'll have when I come back in a few minutes.
Riley, what were you calling this? Summer 3.0?
I'm calling it Summer 3.0. Let's go and label that right now.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Still ahead, some people living at a hotel in the city's West Broadway neighborhood have been evicted months after a new owner said he had no intentions of kicking anyone off the property. That story and more local news when we return. Evicted and nowhere to go. It's becoming a common theme. And now residents who were living at a hotel in Winnipeg's West Broadway neighbourhood are the latest victims. It comes months after the new owner said he had no intention of kicking anyone off the property. CBC's Cameron McLean has more.
About 7 residents here at the Sherbrooke Inn are facing evictions. It comes months after a new owner took over the hotel. One resident has won a little more time before he has to leave. The tenant says he had an agreement that he could stay in exchange for working in the hotel. The Residential Tenancies Commission held a hearing in that case today. Neil Soersma, the new owner, says the residents have not paid rent in months. Soersma sent a letter in July saying he would no longer accept work in exchange for rent after August 1st. But the tenant says Soersma still owed him money. The commission was set to decide the matter, but instead, Soersma and the tenant came to an agreement. The tenant can stay until the end of October, and Soersma agreed to pay $1,000 to settle outstanding wages. Soersma told reporters after the hearing 2 other tenants have been ordered to leave. He's still in discussions with the others who have received notices. There are currently 21 people living in the 33-room hotel. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Harvest Manitoba is considering creating a food transformation centre that would turn produce destined for landfills into meals for people in need. The organization has commissioned a feasibility study, this after it saved more than 9 million pounds of food last year. CEO Vince Barletta says Harvest will collaborate with supporters in the food industry. He says the new study will help determine whether Harvest should buy equipment to better prepare, preserve, and store food.
Food banks across our country are getting creative. We're talking with each other about how we can take products which are in great abundance in one part of the country, share it with another part of the country, and exchange food across this vast land. So in the case of Manitoba, exchanging our potatoes, our carrots, our squash for Okanagan apples, or for vegetables from Southern Ontario.
Barletta says food banks have to find new ways to meet the skyrocketing needs. Results of the study will be released next year. A former NDP MLA says New Democrats wanted him to lie about what he witnessed during a controversial handshake between Wab Kinew and Tory Abi Khan. The incident happened last year at the legislature. Khan accused Kinew of swearing and shoving him. Mark Wasiliu says he saw Kinew behave aggressively, but he alleges a senior NDP official wanted him to skew the facts to support Kinew. He says he refused and now regrets staying silent since.
I also owe a huge apology to MLA Abi Khan. He was telling the truth, and my caucus knew it, and yet they cast aspersions on him. They attempted a character assassination.
Wasiliu says he's not motivated by sour grapes. An NDP spokesperson is calling Wasiliu's latest comments disappointing. They say footage of the incident shows Wasiliu's claims aren't true. They also say the party is focused on affordability and health care for Manitobans. Last September, Maya Turner became the first woman to not only play in a regular season university men's football game, but also to score points. The kicker scored 2 field goals for the University of Manitoba Bisons, the second one in double overtime, earning the Bisons a 27-24 win over the University of Regina Rams. Now she's inspiring other young women. Karen Pauls has that story.
Go, get down there! Emily Beauregard's wish for her 18th birthday was to meet Maya Turner, the starting kicker and only woman on the University of Manitoba Bison's men's football team.
Oh my God, you were amazing.
On Saturday, her wish came true.
Crazy, huh? Yeah, I do admire you. Like, I was watching your video and I was just like, I want to meet this girl. And I want to do the same as you do. It is really like a men's world, but I think we can take our place in that.
Turner has already done that.
And it is good, no doubt about it. Maya Turner from 21 yards out
Last year, she was the first woman to play and score in a regular season U Sports football game. She made 2 field goals, including the game winner in overtime.
The Manitoba Bisons have won this homecoming football game on the strength of Maya Turner.
She instantly became a role model for other young women like Beauregard, who is also breaking ground as a rookie kicker on the Sherbrooke Cégep men's football team, the first woman in the league.
Like, she kicked like asses on the field, and now I can talk with her and she can give me some advice, and so I think like a lot of girls saw her and was like, holy shit, she can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah, I'm so humbled that she, like looks up to me and wanted to come out and see me play. I love to see other girls kicking footballs and playing on men's teams.
All the way from Quebec, coming to watch the Bisons play.
There was initially some doubt about having a female kicker on the Bisons, but that has disappeared.
It was very impressive, but it was very nice to see you like win, because it was very sketchy and I was very, very pissing on myself. So.
They've embraced Turner and they welcomed Beauregard too.
Beauregard and her father flew back to Winnipeg with the team. On Sunday, they got a tour of the University of Manitoba campus and the football complex.
Welcome to the locker room.
As the only woman on the team, Turner has her own changing room.
Yep, this is where I hang out.
But her coach, Brian Doby, says she's just one of the guys.
Her story has resonated across the country.
After 29 years on the job, Doby is retiring this season. He's accomplished a lot, but says few things compare to this experience.
It's so symbolic of what anybody can do, regardless of race, gender, etc. Anybody leading the way and taking a risk.
As for Turner, she's thrilled her accomplishment is inspiring other women who dream of kicking down barriers. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Riley's back in now, and I couldn't love that story more. Maya's amazing, and Amelie just, you could see the emotion on her face, tearing up. Both of them breaking barriers, so good for them.
Yeah. Bit of a wet one.
Oh, I know. I went out for just a slight walk this afternoon. It just started drizzling on me, but not so bad.
Isolated pop-up showers, sort of the story of the day across southern Manitoba. It's been a wet week. It's been a wet 7 days. I want to show you some numbers. These numbers are from Monday of last week until yesterday, Sunday. So 7-day rainfall accumulations, and just look, some of these are pretty staggering. St. Pierre-Jolie, 174 millimeters of rain in a week. Most of these communities, generally you would see between 50 and 60 millimeters of rain in the month of September. 161 millimeters in Steinbach, 107 in Morden, even into northwestern Ontario, about 60 millimeters of rain in the past week. And a lot of this coming in the couple of days that we saw some of that thunderstorm activity rolling through as well. Emerson, 60 millimeters of rain. Winnipeg at the airport, 42 millimeters of rain in the last week, and Brandon, 35. If we can plot out some of these numbers on a map, I thought this was interesting because this section in red here, from Morden-Winkler through Morris, we're talking about Kleefeld, getting some pretty heavy rain and some flooding into the Steinbach region as well. This area in red getting the bulk of that. But look at some of these numbers just outside of this area in red. Carman, just 33 millimeters in the last week. 60 to 70 in through extreme southern Manitoba. So some varying amounts, but some very heavy rain in parts of the province. That is ending. We're entering a much drier stretch thanks to a ridge of high pressure that will build in after this system makes its way out. A little bit of instability. I think some of this is looking a little bit more ominous than what is actually making it to the ground, but nonetheless, still a few isolated showers across southern Manitoba today. That will continue as we get into the overnight period, but you can see we already have some clearing as we get through the overnight period tonight across southern Manitoba. So by the time we get to the morning hours tomorrow, a lot brighter across southern and central Manitoba. Still a few lingering showers into northwestern Ontario and even along the Hudson Bay coast tomorrow, looking at a few showers throughout the day as another wave of this instability pushes through northern Manitoba, the tail end of that area of low pressure that pushed through over the past couple of days here. By the time we get to the later afternoon, we do start to clear out even more as that high pressure sets in. So by the time we get even into Wednesday and Thursday, we'll really see our temperatures warming up, and really this is a province-wide thing as we get into the next few days here. So you can see that high pressure ridge as it starts to make its way into the later part of Wednesday, really setting in place over southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba, and it really holds even as we get through Thursday into Friday, and not really breaking down until we really get into the weekend, when we will start to see temperatures pulling back a little bit as we get into the next week. So as I mentioned, sunshine continues for the next several days. 21 for Tuesday, 25s, 26s for Wednesday and Thursday, and even sunshine into the weekend. And Brittany, we're looking at temperatures like these continuing into Sunday before we maybe get a bit of precipitation coming back as we head into next week as well.
Summer 3.0.
Yeah,
Loving it. You know what? We'll take it when it's summer. I was just saying to you in the commercial break, as long as it's not the winter 2.0 and 3.0.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
Well, tomorrow is the last day to own a piece of Winnipeg's nutty history. The Nutty Club is selling off what's left of its equipment, candies, and food supplies. They announced they were wrapping up operations last December after 120 years in business. CBC's Jim Agapito had a chance to view some of the unique items.
There are 368 lots of individual types of equipment, candy, nuts, machinery. It's quite a fascinating sale. This is a popcorn popper, and it's used for grating popcorn. Because if selling popcorn, you want it popped more, so you're selling more air, of course. So the higher grades popcorn pop bigger. One whole chicken with chicken broth in a can. I don't know what anybody would do with that, but it's for sale. They've got the forms for the pointy cones, and they have the forms for the other cones.
Wow, look at that. So that's how an ice cream cone is made.
Yeah.
Industrial size. 6 in a row of the small one, of the pointy ones.
Yeah.
6 in a row of the flat base kind of ones.
People are always looking for certain things. Like the ice cream cone machines, we have an equipment broker from San Antonio, Texas here, and he has a group of buyers from Mexico that are looking at purchasing the ice cream cone line. And I thought that was not going to be sold. It's such a large line that they have to remove windows and use a crane to get it out of the second floor. So someone really has to want something like that to put that much effort into it. And then when it comes to the candy and the nuts and whatever, there could be variety stores, there could be anybody's looking at that. There could be people who are just coming and trying to buy something that says Nutty Club on it and buy the last batch of Scotch mints that they're going to buy that says Nutty Club. In auctions, there's a buyer for everything.
From the crisis in Haiti to the conflict between Lebanon and Israel, more international headlines are coming up next. Stay with us. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is at the United Nations, focusing today on the troubles in Haiti. He urged other leaders to help come up with a plan to address humanitarian needs and support political transition in the Caribbean nation. David Thurton has more on how Canada is willing to help.
At the United Nations, Justin Trudeau met with Haiti's new acting prime minister.
It's a real pleasure to sit down with Prime Minister Kony to talk about the challenges in Haiti.
Haiti is still in the grips of a humanitarian and security crisis. A bleak situation that's left millions facing starvation. Spiraling violence has displaced about 700,000 Haitians.
La gravité de cette crise.
Haiti's prime minister said at a special UN Council meeting that Canada chairs that the gravity of the situation can no longer be ignored.
With this context in mind, we must come together with a serious, viable plan.
Warring gangs still control much of the capital, Port-au-Prince, even 3 months after a multinational security force landed on the island. Kenya leads that force. Its president visited his troops this weekend. He's backing calls to expand the international mission.
On the suggestion to transit this into a fully UN peacekeeping mission, we have absolutely no problem if that is the direction the UN Security Council wants to take it.
The current mission is underfunded and understaffed. Of the 1,000 police officers Kenya promised, less than half have arrived.
The facts on the ground are getting worse and worse every day. We need a first world military intervention, not third world, not whatever. And I still believe this, and I don't think we're going to get out of this with 500 or 1,000 Kenyan troops.
Canada has given $100 million so far, but has still not committed to putting boots on the ground.
So we're just willing to write checks and not go boots on the ground. Is that still the position of the government?
Our position has always been to fund.
Canada, though, supports turning the international mission into a UN peacekeeping force. But it appears that's only as long as other countries provide the soldiers. David Thurton, CBC News, Ottawa.
In the Middle East, fears continue to grow that an all-out war will soon break out between Israel and Hezbollah. Lebanese officials say Israeli strikes killed more than 490 people today and injured more than 1,600 others. They've also sent tens of thousands fleeing northwards in search of safety. Meanwhile, Hezbollah continues to fire rockets into Israel. CBC's Chris Brown has the latest.
Israel's warplanes unleashed an onslaught on Lebanon, hitting what Israel's military claims were hundreds of Hezbollah targets, including people's homes, where the Israeli military says the militant group kept missiles and ammunition.
This is an advance warning for your own safety and the safety of your family.
Copying a tactic used before it pulverized much of Gaza, Israel's military told civilians to leave and sent text message warnings to tens of thousands. But this would be Lebanon's deadliest day in almost 20 years, as the death toll soared, with dozens of children among the dead, say Lebanese authorities. The continuing Israeli aggression on Lebanon is a war of extermination, said Ziad Makari.
I have a message for the people of Lebanon.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke directly to people in Lebanon.
Israel's war is not with you, it's with Hezbollah.
On Lebanon's roads, there was panic. There were strikes, warplanes, and destruction, said this man as he left Sidon. We took our belongings and left. Israel wants to hit us, said Joseph Ghaffari in Beirut. It wants to squeeze Hassan Nasrallah to start a war. Nasrallah leads Hezbollah, which is backed by Iran. He has said when there's a ceasefire in Gaza, Hezbollah will stop shelling northern Israel. Months of fighting have forced tens of thousands of Lebanese and Israelis out of their homes. Hezbollah has been dealt heavy blows, including the pager and radio detonations last week that injured thousands. Lebanon's health minister underscored the enormous cost of more escalation. During the last Hezbollah-Israel war, 11,000 people were wounded, but in less than a week, this time, nearly 5,000 have been injured already, he said. Israel's strikes continued into the evening, hitting Beirut, where Israel says its target was a Hezbollah leader. Hezbollah, though, still has powerful ballistic missiles it could use against Israeli cities, and Israel could mount a ground offensive, meaning both sides still have plenty of destruction they can unleash. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
Excessive rains have been causing local flooding in some regions around the globe today. We begin in Japan. Rainfall is hitting record levels in the past few days in Japan's north-central region. At least 7 people are reported dead and 2 others missing. In Europe, floods have left a trail of destruction from Romania to Poland. The Danube River is expected to peak later this week in Budapest at near record levels. And heavy rain continues to fall in parts of Britain. The water is blocking roads and causing travel disruptions. Some residents say they haven't seen this much rain in a decade. A tropical storm over the eastern Pacific Ocean has rapidly strengthened into a hurricane. Hurricane John is now a Category 1 storm and is barreling toward Mexico's southern coast. It's expected to make landfall on Tuesday near Oaxaca, a popular tourist area with resort towns. The storm could bring dangerous winds, storm surges, and life-threatening flash floods to the region. Disconnected from community. A new poll explored about social connections are being impacted, and one of the causes is in the palm of your hand. More on that straight ahead. A new online poll from the YMCA suggests people across the country are feeling disconnected from their communities. 60% of Canadians polled by the Angus Reid Institute earlier this month reported feeling little or no sense of community. The survey also explored how social connections are impacted by screen time and social media use. Cordella Friesen is the CEO of the YMCA of Winnipeg. She spoke with Marcy Marcusa this morning.
Been asking ourselves, like, what is the role of the Y? What is our role in community? Where do we need to evolve for the future? And really asking community, like, what's important? And I think one of the things that we've noticed, especially at our Y, is that there is a disconnect, for sure. Electronic devices are having an impact on youth and children and families. And we know that there is an impact of not having enough third spaces. And the U.S. Surgeon General actually came out with a report last year on the negative impact of social isolation for our physical health, higher rates of diabetes, like heart disease, and the list goes on, higher rates of mental illness, depression, et cetera, all because of social isolation.
How do you define a third space?
So a third space is something that's not your home and not your work. And so that third space means things like the Y, community centers, faith-based organizations. I love the trail running group that I heard from her. So anything that is a different space other than your home and your work, that's considered a third space.
How do you define community, or how did this poll define community, or did you leave it up to people?
So the details on the exact survey results are with Angus Reid. So community is, do you feel that sense of belonging? Do you feel that connection with others, ultimately?
What's at stake when we don't?
The stakes are so big in terms of our ability to, even on the healthcare system, I look at it from a systems basis, and why it's important for governments in particular to build out third spaces like community centers, like investments at the Y and other arts and culture and all the rest of it, because the impact on the mental health system, on any of our interventions in the healthcare system are so significant. But also, like, who doesn't want to feel connected in community and feel like they belong, like they have friends, that they are able to, pick up the phone and get help from somebody because they're in need. And so I think that, especially for me, I think about me being raised in Niverville. I'm from Niverville. I absolutely know that everyone I was connected with from the time I was 18 would still pick up the phone if I needed help today. And I think that's a significant feeling of feeling better about life.
This day and age, I think, at least, and maybe I'm projecting, I think some adults are nervous to connect with a stranger because they're worried that in the first few minutes they may be judged in some way or maybe even dismissed in some way should you get into some of those topic areas that, as we all know, have become so polarizing. Is that why you think we hear so much in these comments this morning coming from Manitobans that they look for groups where they feel safe, either through this is about music and the shared love of music, or maybe it is a faith group where the shared love of that faith value is important? Is it good to look for places that you can feel like you're in a safe space to begin with, to kind of be your full self?
Yes, I absolutely believe that safe spaces and that values alignment really helps with that overall connection. But what I would also say is that trying new things can push our understanding as well. So if I think about those faith groups, and so many people are not a part of a faith group any longer, it's the multi-generational aspect of churches that make you think differently. So you're not sticking with just your age category, or volunteering at a new location, or people from different socioeconomic backgrounds. That builds out empathy and realizing, wow, not everyone had the same start as I did. And those volunteering kind of efforts actually builds out that empathy too. So yes, values alignment, but also pushing our understanding by interacting with people that are different than us.
I want to look at your survey for something specific here, and that's one of the results that mentions that of the Canadians surveyed, 18 to 34-year-olds were feeling that loneliness and lack of belonging the most. So, we often talk about seniors when we talk loneliness, but this is the younger set. What have you noticed in terms of the feelings that the youth, sort of that category, might come into the Winnipeg Wise for when you guys offer lots of programming and such?
Yeah, absolutely. That age category is really having an impact, is social media and being on electronics. And so we run Camp Stevens, and Camp Stevens is electronic free. And we did a huge consultation with people this past year saying, what do you see as the future for Camp Stevens? conversations. Number one was wilderness and get off our phones, like to make it tech free. And when kids do connect in different ways, or even youth or young adults or even our own staff off their phones, they really do. You almost then start paying attention to different things. You have conversations you normally wouldn't have. And so I think technology absolutely is having an impact.
Can technology, and here's why this is a gray area conversation and a good one to talk about, because technology also, people could argue, is where they do connect. Is there a limitation people should understand about only connecting on tech, do you think?
Yeah, technology cannot be the only place that we're interacting with. And so if that's the only place in which you're getting some kind of social interaction, that is not going to be the thing that kind of solves our social isolation or feeling like we're a part of something bigger than ourselves. And so, yeah, our big advice is getting off electronics. And that's adults too.
Riley Lachek back in now, and I do think getting off our phones is such a big deal. I try to not look at it when I go for my walk every morning, and it makes such a difference just being outside, enjoying it, seeing people, smiling and saying hi to people. Perfect morning for a dog walk tomorrow? What do we think?
Tomorrow will be a lot better, a lot less cloudy, and even actually the further west you are in the province, mainly sunny tomorrow morning.
So much better.
Much better. Let's have a look at that dog walking forecast for your Tuesday. So we are looking at mainly sunny start to the day in Winnipeg. Skies do clear as we get through the day tomorrow. Here's Loney. Thank you, Lauren, for sending this picture in. You can keep sending your pictures to talkback at cbc.ca. Winds also lighten up as we get through into the day on Tuesday as well. So 11 by 8 o'clock in the morning, the afternoon temperature more like 21 in Winnipeg tomorrow. And think about this, temperatures go up from there as we progress through the rest of the work week. And even a clear sky by the time we get to 8 p.m. tomorrow. For the most part, southwest winds at 10. I wanted to quickly talk about a couple of tornado touchdowns, not here in Manitoba, but just across the border from here in Saskatchewan. So to situate you, Virden right here on the other side of me, Brandon over in Westman. These were two tornadoes that touched down last Wednesday. The Northern Tornadoes Project just confirming the details from this today, just across the border from Virden in the Moosomin and Wawota area, both at EF1. A home was damaged in this area from one of these tornadoes. Sheds, fences, trees damaged from both of them as well. Winds up to 155 kilometers an hour. So if you recall, last Wednesday we did have quite a bit of active weather across southern Manitoba, that just across the border from us, but worth noting particularly how late in the season these two tornadoes touched down. Tonight's forecast, single digits across Westman, still a chance of a lingering shower. That does lessen as we get through into the overnight period. 10 in Winnipeg tonight, and our best chance for showers overnight tonight comes into northwestern Ontario. Places like Red Lake, Kenora could pick up a couple of millimeters of rain overnight tonight. Temperatures dropping down to the single digits across northern Manitoba as well. Mainly cloudy in Thompson tonight at 6 degrees. We start with a few showers in northwestern Manitoba, all a part of this area of low pressure that's now off in Nunavut, still spreading a little bit of instability into northern Manitoba through the day on Tuesday. So 12 degrees by the afternoon with a few showers in Thompson. Single digits to start tomorrow in southern Manitoba, then we're back to sunshine by the time we get to the lunch hour. Temperatures really bumping up into the low 20s tomorrow. In Brittany, still a little bit of cloud cover hanging around into northwestern Ontario as well.
Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
Still ahead, dozens of young girls got a chance to glimpse into the world of aviation over the weekend. We'll have that story when we come back. Dreams of pursuing careers in aviation took flight at a Royal Aviation Museum event over the weekend. About 200 girls from ages 8 to 17 attended Girls in Aviation Day.
Hello, my name is Lynn Cunningham. I'm here at the Girls Aviation Day at the Aviation Museum of Western Canada. It's very cool and very exciting. So I'm very interested in aviation, more specifically the study of airplanes, but I still think it's super cool to be here. I'm very inspired by my dad. He works in the Air Force. I just think that, well, the job he does is super cool.
We are here for the Girls in Aviation Day. So there's 200 girls from age to 8 to 17 that are here at the museum to learn about aviation. Here we have engineers, we have pilots, we have air combat system officer myself, we have airborne sensor operator. I am so passionate about my job. I love what I do, and being able to give that passion to some young girls is great. As a kid, I did not have those role models in aviation, and this building a day like today to really allow young women, to ask questions, to see something that they never thought existed or possible for them. I think it just opens some awareness, create some awareness on what's out there, what's available for them.
It feels fine to me, only if you're not scared. They said it's hard, very hard.
Do you think that you could do it?
No.
Too difficult.
I believe I could do it. I'm not entirely sure. I just know that I definitely want to work with airplanes and maybe learn how to fly one.
Freedom. I flew last week with some students and instructors, and there's no better day at the office, when you're up there, blue skies, there was some clouds, and they're just so beautiful.
It's very inspiring to see that they're able to do these super cool things to help people in Canada.
Before we get to your 7-day forecast, you may have seen that some of our CBC crew, including Josh Crabb and several others, are in Poplar River for the week for our pop-up in Poplar River First Nation. Thought I'd give you a quick peek at the forecast for the next few days. 18 tomorrow, above seasonal for this time of the year, and sunshine as we head into Thursday. Our 7-day looks like this: 21 tomorrow, 25s and 26s, a bit breezy as we get through Thursday. And then as we get into the rest of the work week, into the weekend, temperatures staying nice, and then things start to change with maybe some showers as we get through Monday. All right, I have something else to show you. This is the Scotty Walk that took place at Assiniboine Park over the weekend. A local group of people that own Scottish Terriers were at Assiniboine Park. They do this annually. There was 9 of them, plus their families and some friends of other breeds as well. So thank you, Meg, for sending these pics in, and you can always keep sending yours to talkback@cbc.ca. How do you know which one's yours?
I love it.
So another dog story now. Do you remember the day that you said your I do's?
Well, it was probably nothing like what happened near Peterborough, Ontario this weekend. This is tonight's Daily Lift.
You look beautiful. Enjoy your marriage. You lose all your freedom.
Hundreds of pooches there saying their nuptials. They were hoping to break 2 world records most of us couldn't even dream of: the largest cake for dogs and the largest dog wedding ceremony.
Wedding certificates will be given to all of the good boys and girls getting married, with the ceremonies actually being officiated by one of the most legendary voices in Canadian television, Lloyd Robertson.
Amazing. I love, you know what? I love the dog segment.
Just keeps getting better.
We will leave you with that. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you tomorrow.